Hi, my name's Paul Church from Clarity Stamp here in the UK. On this week's YouTube, I'd like to showcase our beautiful collection of window aperture dies. We've called these our Christmas apertures, but when you actually look at the designs, you'll see that most of them can be used throughout the year. For example, our first one here is the candle window. So this could be great for weddings, anniversaries, new babies. Then we have the dove window, lovely Madonna, the shepherd window, the star window, and finally we've got a collection of the peace and love with the nested arches as well. When you look at our dies, you'll see when I start to use them that none of them have a cut line on the outside, therefore creating the aperture. So let me bring in some samples so you can see what I'm telling you about. So if I put a piece of paper just underneath, and then we'll bring the designs in one at a time. So as you can see, just by cutting out the die, it leaves it in the card blank, hence it being called an aperture. Now when you actually look at the dies, once they've been cut out in the card, you'll notice you've got like the effect of like a stained glass window. So they're very traditional in that respect. But what you can do, and when we look at some of the samples towards the end of the program, you'll notice that you can actually cut away, so they're great for decoupage. So this is what we're going to aim for. Fingers crossed everything goes okay. So what we've got here, we've got the illusion of matting and layering, but what I've actually done is actually cut the design into the card blank and then created a separate frame using our nested windows. So how do we get started? Right, here we go. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to create the aperture within the card. So I'm going to bring in my plate. So I'm using the Gemini. Personally, for me, the Gemini is the best machine currently available. Now all our dies will work with all leading die cutting machines. So I'm going to bring in one of our 6x6 card blanks. We've got these available in 5x5, 6x6, 7x7 and 8x8. So I'm going to position this in the centre of the front of the card, and then I'm going to use some low tack tape to hold it into position. It feels a little bit tacky, that one. Don't want it sticking to the card. That's better. Right, okay. So we're going to position that just there. And then if I turn this round so you can see, I've got it nicely positioned in the centre of the panel. Next, I'm going to bring in the frosted plate, then my magnetic shim, and finally my clear plate. Now, all machines are different in relation to the sandwich combination. So it's entirely, what you need to do is actually look at your machine for detailed dies and see what works best for you. So I'm going to get my little tray to collect all my waste. These boxes are great. Not only does it hold all your projects, but it's great for collecting all your waste. So here's the big reveal. And we shall carefully remove that low tack tape. There we go, careful not to rip the card. Slowly does it. There we go. We can keep that. My machine is covered in tape. I keep it all the time. Then if I turn this over, look how easy it falls out. So we're going to get rid of the bag. Then I'm going to gently release the die. And look at that, totally clean. Now this is a 300 GSM cardstock. And when we look at the die, if I give that a little tap, I can give it a flick with my finger. A few little bits in there. So all I'm going to do is bring in my wheelie tool, but I can't find that at the moment. So I'm going to use the stencil brush. I wonder whether the bristles will work on that. No, but the other end does. New tip, that's what you need, stencil brush. Get rid of all your bits and pieces. Right, okay. Now, I've got my piece cut out here. And sometimes when you're working with a detailed die, I don't know whether we can pick up on this, but sometimes you can get like a beveling on it, because what's happening is that the card is stretching when it's going through the machine. So believe it or not, not believe it or not, Barbara's new to die cutting, and she said, well, what happens if we just run it back through the machine? Surely that would flatten it out. So let's do that and see what happens. Here we go, let's put a big reveal on that. And there we go, and we've got it nice and flat now. Okay, so let's pop that to one side. And then what are we going to do next? Right, I'm going to bring a piece of our Shenandoah petite card topper into play. And that is going to pop down underneath. But to get the illusion of the matting and layering, I need to take a piece and cut out the arch frame. So we'll bring the plates back in. And I'm going to use the dies to create my frame on the outside. So I decide where I'm going to position that, and I reckon I'm going to go probably about there, and then we'll put the other one on the inside. Okay, and then we'll take a bit of tape, I'll tear this bit in half, and then I can get that lined up. Hold that into place. Oh, good old tape rolling up on itself. Here we go. Right, okay. Am I happy with that? No, need to give that a little bit of a wiggle just down at the bottom. There we go. That's better. Right, plates back into play again. Talk amongst yourselves while we run that through the machine again. Okay, right, so again, carefully remove the tape. Pop that back on the machine. Now what this is giving me now is, it's giving me three pieces. If I lift off those dies, I've got the outer frame, which I can use on one card. I've got the frame that I actually want for my project. And then I've got this beautiful topper, which again, we can use on another, perfect for stamping on. So that would be great if you've got something like the little wee folk in there or the boy in the sky. Fantastic for that. So we'll pop those bits to one side, in there. And this is the bit that we're interested in. And then one more bit of die cutting. What I want to do, if I bring in the finished sample, you'll notice that the actual shepherds are a slightly different colour to the actual background. And the reason for that is because what I've done is I've taken the die and I've die cut just the shepherd's outfit from a darker piece of card. So we'll put this through again. Time for you to talk amongst yourselves again. Get the plates lined up, and here we go. Okay, let's have a look what we've got here. So that bit we can't use now, but if I'd thought a bit ahead, I could have taken another piece of scrap. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring a piece of paper in underneath because I want to catch the bits from underneath, and the static plays havoc with this. So I'm going to lift that off, and you know what? I'm going to leave this somewhere safe so that it doesn't get lost. So we're going to pop that to one side. Okay, so just pop that over there. Right, fingers crossed there's no windows open in here. Right, okay, so now the fun begins. We can start to assemble. So as I said earlier, I've taken a piece of the Shenandoah petite toppers. I'm going to take a piece of our double-sided adhesive sheet, and I'm going to stick that onto there, face down. Rub it down into place. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove that backing and then position that over the top. Now I've got two ways of doing it. I can do it exactly how I'm showing you, or I can turn it over and then do it that way so that the inside is actually lined up nice and tidy. If I'm going to do that, what I need to do is protect the black mat, because where this is super sticky, if I go like that, it's going to stick to the mat and I've just wasted what I've done. So the piece that I've taken off says Clarity Stamp. This is the wrong side. So what we do is we position that so that we can't read the words Clarity Stamp. Okay, now we're going to take the backing off, and that's where a pokey tool comes in handy. So we're going to take that off there, try not to drop it. Use your fingers to position it, and I'm using the fingers underneath. There's a tip I picked up from Barbara. Use your fingers underneath until you're happy where you want it positioned, and then press down. Okay, so that should now not stick to the mat. There we go. So this is now super sticky. Time to dress the shepherds. I'm going to bring in the bit that we cut earlier. Now when we're looking at what we've cut out here, this is the reverse. So if this shepherd is here, then it's going to be the one over on the left. So I'm going to bring in my tweezers, because it's sort of like a bit of a little operation to get them dressed. Perfect. Now we can get rid of that scrap now because we don't need that, but look what we've got left over with. We've got this piece here. So when we look at some of the finished samples later, you'll see that you can actually use this to actually decoupage. But we'll come back to that later anyway. Right, okay. So we've got that into play, but obviously all of this is still sticky. Now with it being Christmas, depending on when you're watching, Christmas always needs a bit of bling. So I'm going to bring into play our Perga glitters. There's 6 different colourways in there. We've got a hint of blue, a hint of silver, a hint of gold, a hint of pink, a hint of copper, and a hint of green. Now I think based on the colours I've got behind there, I'm going to go for a hint of gold. So our glitter is ultra fine, it's translucent, and it's anti-static. Okay. Look at that, there's not anything left in the pot. Now normally, if you're using glitter, because of the static within there, that would all be coated and all the best parts would be in there. But there is special casing to stop that from happening. Then I'm just going to take my finger and I'm going to rub in to all the area that is sticky. Okay. Then we shall tap off the excess. And I'm going to, this is where I need a glamorous assistant to get rid of all my glitter back into my pot. So we're just going to fold that in. And look at that, hardly anything on there. And that's the great thing about the glitter. You're not going to waste any. So all I'm going to do now is take my new tool and I'm going to use the proper end of it, the brush end, just to push into those areas and get rid of any excess. There we go. So we've now got a nice blinged up scene. Okay. Then to finish this off, we're going to take our frame that we created earlier and I'm going to take a glue pen, and it's a wet glue that dries clear. And the reason I like using this, because with a wet glue you've got a little bit of manoeuvrability to it while you're trying to position it. So we'll just put that on there. Again, tweezers come into play for your clumsy fingers. And then I can position that exactly where I want it. Gently press down. And then because it's such a fine border, I'm going to turn it over and rub from behind, so to speak. So we can turn that over, fold our card in half. And if I bring our other one in that I've already made, you'll see they're exactly the same. And the only difference is the colourway. So again, depending on what cardstock or background papers you use, you're going to get a different colourway every time. So should we have a look at some samples of what the lovely design team have done? So we've got this lovely little sort of ornament, or you could put it on on a tree. So you've got the various different designs on there. Then, did you know that you can actually make arch-shaped cards using the dies? Maybe I'll cover that on another YouTube. But again, using the matting and layering, I've actually decoupaged up the little heart in the middle. Talking of decoupage, this was the one that I was referring to earlier. And as you can see, the camera can pick that up, we've got layer after layer. And again, all that is using is the various pieces of petite card toppers and then cutting out different elements of the die to build the beautiful 3D design. Then this is one of my favourite ones. This one was done by our lovely Maria. So we've got a beautiful message on the front together with the actual designs. But look, when we open up, what Maria's done is use them on the inside. How beautiful is that? Then we've got another one similar to that, but in different colourways. And this one has been done by the lovely Wendy Forburn. So we've got beautiful background papers on there, the little doves from the die. And then when we open this one, what Wendy's done, she's got a little whoops, there we go, a little dangly one in the middle suspended. The aperture obviously created using the nested arches. Finally, two more pieces. If you're looking for doing great little notelets, these have been done by the lovely Sheila. So again, just using the backing papers. So we've got harmony on this one and Christmas greetings with peace and love. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have, please leave a comment below, like and maybe subscribe to the channel. Don't forget that Barbara blogs every day and all the details can be found at the bottom. If you've enjoyed watching and you've liked some of the products that I've shown you today, then don't forget to check out our website www.claritystamp.com. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.